I try to sleep while my stomach talks. I see people around the city. They have mountains of food. My family has SNAP. They shop while I nap. Double the veggies and fruits. Money donated comes from men in suits. If I am what I eat, I am nothing. The stress that hangs on my shoulders, the thought of this feeling staying with me forever, where will my next meal come from? No money, no food, constantly sick. This is my life. I'm as thin as a stick, forever sick. Will it stay like this forever? She wrote a poem about what it was like to not know. And when you can hear directly from the mouths of those folks who've experienced it, I think that changes you, because you realize it's not an issue you're caring about, it's a person. We serve Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. Some people shorten that to Silicon Valley. So we're kind of the food bank of Silicon Valley. And the food bank serves just over 250,000 people every month. So we work with thousands of donors and community members and volunteers to get about 66 million pounds of food out the door every year.
Obviously, you think of companies like a Google and a Facebook, like they have like literal restaurants on site with top-notch chefs, and that's like the expectation for that level of company. And so I think there's, especially in Silicon Valley, kind of a perk battle where if you're a company that can't necessarily pay the employees as much as a Leviathan company like Google or Facebook, you have to make up for it in some ways. And so I think it is a way to, attract talent. If I'm interviewing at several companies and I'm feeling otherwise relatively even about them, but one of them has a free lunch perk, that might tip the scale.
I'm really inspired by the food scene in California, and always have been. I mean, even when I came here and no one was talking about waste, there were so many good conversations happening. Food Shift exists because there's a huge imbalance in our society, environmentally, economically, and we're creating solutions that address the problem of wasted food, the problem of poverty, hunger, and unemployment. And we're creating solutions that employ people while reducing waste and increasing access to food. I think there's a lot of positives when you look at California's food system. There's so many innovators and entrepreneurs and even funders and investors who are wanting to invest in a food system that works for all of us and for the planet. And yet we have a long way to go. We produce so much food in California, and we waste so much food in California. We have an abundance, and we have a great need. In Alameda County, 1 in 5 people are food insecure. In Santa Clara County, 1 in 4. In San Francisco, 1 in 4 people don't have enough food. Largely 2/3 of those people are seniors and children. So we live in a part of the country that is the most economically wealthy, and yet we have so many people who don't know where their next meal is coming from, and that needs to change.
Okay, what do we got here? I have carrot, and I have pepper, I have sausage. I really gotta figure out what to do with this thing. Given the selection of the daily menu of the work food, it'll be like, well, the only one that I can have here is this medium tasting burrito. And so, you know, it's on those days where I'm like, oh yeah, I should really like appreciate the flavor of when I am cooking at home, when I can like, you know, make something to my own tastes. There are definitely times where we're at the lunch table and everyone's like, man, all the options were so gross. What a horrible Tuesday, you know? But then you got to kind of take a step back and say, okay guys, but remember, you didn't pay for this. So maybe let's just not complain.
When I go to some of our partners' sites and I see the spreads they have of food, I can't help but feel compelled to want to stuff my pockets. And again, I'm not even hungry now.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see our relationship with food and to see many different people's relationships with food. Not to bash all like tech people, but I feel like a lot of people are very unaware of the amount of labor and land and resources and people and everything, the amount of it takes to grow food and then to process it and then to cook it and then to make it something delicious and deliver it, you know, and it ends up on their plate. And I feel like there's such a big disconnect, you know. It's so easy for people to just, you know, leave their plate half empty or to want an abundance of things in terms of because it looks good, it looks like the company's doing well, as opposed to really thinking about what's happening with the food. And the fact that there are people literally right outside their doorsteps that need access to those foods and they're simply composting it or, you know, worse, going in the trash.
I'm grateful that we can talk to our corporate and tech partners about how this disparity is real, and they step up to help us meet that gap. Sometimes it looks like a kid acting out at school because they skipped breakfast. Sometimes it's a senior losing weight. But you see it only when you recognize it's invisible.
It's interesting, like definitely living in San Francisco, even though like the homelessness issue, for example, is like really in your face, the strain of work life and like trying to move up the corporate ladder and like, you know, set up my nest egg, like the, I guess, social pressure and economic pressure to focus on those sorts of things is like very strong here. And so, yeah, I mean, I've been thinking about that a lot lately, where it's like, you know, what can we do to actually contribute to these solutions? And every single one of these issues is tricky because otherwise they would be solved already, you know?
If that abundance, those resources and brilliant minds in Silicon Valley could focus on solving problems that are real for most people, I think we could make a lot of progress, because society needs innovation and brilliant minds and resources right now. And my invitation and challenge would be for Silicon Valley to address some of these issues, to use those skills and resources to thinking about sustainable solutions to these problems.
The time is now to help. We are at a crisis level right now in Silicon Valley. We are struggling to figure out how to meet families that are sending their kids to school hungry. It's not okay that this is happening here. It's not okay. The thing is, we're not talking about issues. Our mission isn't just about food, it's about people. And if we can connect the individuals at, you know, any tech company that gives them unlimited granola all day long to the people we serve and help them understand those stories, they'll understand the impact of what they're doing, whether it be volunteering or donating or offering their expertise.